Let's talk about real life Jeep Wrangler ownership, specifically the two-door version. I experienced something that I've been waiting for, and it finally happened today, this morning. Turned the Jeep on, and I had the black screen. The infamous Mopar, if it's still referred to as Mopar, black screen. That's where apparently the radio updates, resets. I'm not exactly sure why it does it, but it's done it in every Mopar product I have ever had. And this 2024 Wrangler is no exception. I don't think it's really any problem. It just has to do what it does, and then you should never experience it again, because that's been my experience with it. One time, and then you're done. Next up, road cupping. Do you know what road cupping is? In case you didn't know, every road is built like this. It cups in the middle. And it's like that so that when it rains, all of the water will roll out of the center and roll off of the road, right? Otherwise, we'd have deep puddles of water standing on roads all over the place. The Jeep Wrangler two-door specifically loves to ride that cup. I mean, think of it as two wheels on the edge, and it likes to do this, particularly if it's really bad. You know, I noticed that a long time ago. I had gotten my first Jeep Wrangler. I was driving along, and it kept wanting to go like this. I kept having to adjust the steering wheel. Now, that was probably a pretty severe case. That road was really cupped in the middle, and I thought there was something wrong with the steering. I thought that it was out of alignment, something with the tires, just something wacky. I may have even gone back to the dealer and asked them about it because it was just weird. Then I come to find out, after a little bit of research and a little bit of common sense, that since the wheelbase is closer together, I guess, it wants to ride that cup of the road. And you're gonna feel it if you're on like an old backcountry road or something, or a road, as I mentioned, that's more severely cupped. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your new Jeep Wrangler two-door. It's just part of Jeep life. It's the way it is. Next up, complaints. If you've got more than two people riding around with you in your Jeep Wrangler, you're going to get a lot of complaints. And I'm talking about getting in and out of that back seat. It is horrible. Unless you're like 13, 14 years old, it's tough to get in and out. Now, the seat over there, the passenger seat, does slide forward and fold to give you a little bit more room. Mopar even saw fit to make it so that when you tilt that front forward, you can go ahead and push the whole seat. Very nice of them. However, it does not make getting in and out of that back seat any better. Now, it's not so bad once you're back there. A little bit bouncy, if I remember. It's been years since I've tried to crawl in the back seat of my Jeep. I don't do it anymore, and there's a reason for that. Storage. You know, the other thing about the Wrangler is there's not much storage in it, particularly in the back. You can fold the seat up rather, but it still only gives you about so much room. Now, since I don't use the back seat, and I really do believe the Jeep Wrangler two-door back seat is useless, I pulled it. I got rid of it. And again, shout out to Mopar, or whoever they are now, for setting it up in such a way that you can easily remove that seat. All you have to do is tip it forward and squeeze this little bar that they have running across the back of the seat. When you do that, you kind of pull it back or push it forward, I forget which way, and it comes out of its track. Then you just kind of muscle it back to the back of the opening there and pull the seat on out. It does weigh about 75, I think, pounds, something like that. It's nothing you can't do yourself, but you know, you might want a little bit of help so that you don't scratch up the inside of your Jeep with those brackets, those claws that kind of grab into that track system they have back there. And then, of course, you've got to figure out what to do with that seat. It's one of the best things that I've done. Just leaves you a ton of room back there so that when you're hauling stuff, you don't have to try to keep that seat up. And by the way, the seat won't stay folded forward unless you secure it forward. What it wants to do is fall back. So if you've gone to the grocery store, you got yourself maybe a dozen eggs or something like that, maybe some glass cold pops, and they're sitting underneath where that seat is going to fall back, you might get a surprise. You might have scrambled eggs when you get home, or those cold pops might squirt all over the inside of your Jeep. And what a nightmare it would be to clean that kind of stuff out. Not something I would want to do. The other thing is fuel economy. You know, it's really not so bad when you leave the Jeep alone and don't do anything to it. But who wants to do that? We have to mod them, right? That can be anything from new wheels and tires, bigger, heavier, thirstier, or lifting the Jeep Wrangler itself, which, by the way, there is nothing better looking than a lifted Jeep Wrangler with big meaty tires on it that kind of poke out a little on the sides. Love the looks of that, but it is going to eat your fuel economy. My wife's Jeep Wrangler, she has a two-door as well, is like that. It's lifted, I think it's a 3-inch lift, and it's got some heavy tires on it and pokes out on each side. She's getting about, maybe 12 miles per gallon on a good day, something like that. Whereas mine, I do have a meatier tire, but I chose to stick with the original, or close to the original size as far as diameter goes. So mine is not quite as bad. I'm getting something right now in the range of, let's see, I will give you a true estimate if I can find it quickly on here. You ever try to go through the screens on your radio and find something quickly? I just did. 18.6 miles per gallon in my Jeep Wrangler compared to her 12, let's call it 12 to 14. I have seen 14 on it. Really beats that. And for those of you that are going to say, well, you're not adjusting for the different diameter size, it's not that much different. It might throw it off maybe a mile per gallon or something like that, but that's it. Otherwise, Jeep life is pretty darn good. There's nothing like cruising around in it. One of the big benefits you'll find, other than it's just too cool, is it will fit everywhere because it's small. And again, I'm talking about the two-door version. It's one of the biggest reasons, maybe not the biggest reasons, but one of the reasons why I got the Jeep Wrangler two-door is because I had driven my wife's around a bit and realized how easy it was to maneuver that thing in and out of tight spaces. I don't have a lot of room where I live. My driveway is pretty close to some landscaping stuff behind me. So trying to pull like a full-size truck or something in and out of there, or even a mid-size truck like the Toyota Tacoma, gets to be quite tight. Turning radius, it's awesome too. Anyway, just wanted to get on here and talk about real life Jeep life for a bit. What you need to be prepared for if you're in the market, maybe you're considering getting a Jeep Wrangler. Nothing bad, just some things you got to get used to. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.